I want to talk to you about Stax versus Riverside payment, and the big question is, which payment provider can you actually go with this year? Okay, which solution should you choose this year? Let me first talk to you about Riverside payments, and then I'll speak about Stax, and then later on I'll tell you which one is actually best for your business this year. So let's talk about the Riverside payments. So if you think about Riverside payments, I want you to think about a newcomer. You know, they haven't been around for a while now, so it's a newcomer, and the company is actually headquartered in Washington State. Okay, and this is a Wells Fargo company. So basically, I want you to think. I want you to remember that this is a subsidiary of Wells Fargo. So big bank, big national bank. Okay, so that tells you a lot about safety already. Tells you a lot about credibility, and most importantly, it tells you about efficiency. Now, is it affordable? I'll talk about that later on. Okay, so this is a Wells Fargo company that specializes in restaurants and bars. When they started, they were focusing primarily on restaurants, and then after 2 years, they actually expanded into bars. Let's just say the hospitality industry. Their goal is to actually in the next 5 years to actually cover the whole hospitality industry. So from bars to restaurants to hotels to hostels to motels and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is kind of cool because if you think about it, it allows you, if you are in that space, to actually benefit from experience, but also some efficiency. Okay, so one thing I want to say here is that if you think about Riverside payments, you have to think about their features and ask yourself, if you're not in that hospitality industry, can you still use Riverside? Yes, you can use them, but the product is primarily built for restaurants and bars. Let's just say hospitality, okay? But it doesn't mean that you cannot use the tool if you're not in that space. One thing I want to say here is that you also need to contact your you need to contact Riverside Payments to see whether or not you need to have an affiliation with Wells Fargo before you actually sign up for the service. Okay, normally you don't have to, but sometimes they might have some extra conditions. So what are the features here? If you think about Stax versus Riverside Payments, I'm still going through Riverside Payments, and then I'll speak about Stax later on. Okay, I want to talk to you now about the features. So when you think about Riverside Payments, a Wells Fargo company, you have in-store processing, you have online processing, you have mobile processing. Okay, so those are the primary the top three primary services. So in-store processing just means what? It means that Riverside lets you as a merchant accept credit card, debit cards, and gift cards in store through the company's payment gateway. And the company also provides hardware for you if you need it. Okay. The company has EMV enabled point of sale systems to accept digital wallet payments as well as cards. So you have flexibility there. And for a POS system, the company, the Riverside Payments, has partnerships with Clover. They have Touch Bistro, Revel, among others. Okay, that's for in-store processing. What about online processing? If you have an online store, e-commerce businesses can set up payments processing with Authorize.net, First Data Global Gateway, or e-processing network. So you have choices there, and the Riverside online solution comes with a virtual terminal, QuickBooks plugin, recurrent billing, and fraud detection. For mobile processing, Riverside offers a free mobile card reader to all customers, which really connects through an app available on both iPhone and Android devices. Okay, so that's really good. So those are the three primary services you have through Riverside: in-store, online, and mobile processing. So outside of their basic services, Riverside also offers gift cards, including online reporting and real-time transaction tracking. So that's really good. They also offer check processing. So check processing means they are converting checks to electronic transactions before deposited. They have ATM services, including equipment installation, cash replenishment, and processing. Okay. I mean, this is a Wells Fargo subsidiary, so they have the expertise. And they also have cash advances. So they have cash advances from anywhere between $5,000 and $1 million to be used for almost any type of business expenses. Now, one thing I want to say here is that before you go with before you actually apply for cash advances, be very careful because those are often expensive. Okay, they will lock you in with the provider, and they can be against your best interests. So think twice before getting a cash advance. Let me talk to you about integrations. I'm still talking about Riverside payments. Okay, I'll speak about Stax later on. So when it comes to integrations, Riverside payments does not integrate with any service outside of authorized.net for e-commerce processing. Okay, this is something they have to work on because they're losing a big I would say a, a big portion of market share by not integrating with third-party apps or third-party software. What about pricing? So Riverside doesn't share their publicly like they don't share their pricing publicly. Okay, so this is a bummer, but it is what it is. Okay, and there also looks to be a lot of inconsistency when reviewing their complaints registered through the Better Business Bureau. So we haven't seen any consistency in terms of pricing. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the screen here based on our investigation. My team and I we were able to find that you have early termination fee to the tune of $695. So this $695. Okay, you have rec product fee of $995. I'll put this on the screen. Annual comp service fee of $99, minimum monthly fee of $25, and monthly statement fee of $5. So this is actually, this is approximate. This is not really the exact prices, okay? But this is what we were able to find. Equipment leases comes on top of the aforementioned and may have separate contracts and cancellation fees. In terms of customer support, Riverside heavily promotes 20 its 24/7 customer service, right? The company promises a relationship manager for every customer and 24/7 365 customer support. And the company has a phone number on its website, but it's not clear if this is for the sales manager or for customer service. So just you know think thoroughly before. So let me talk to you about the pros and cons of Riverside. So again, I want to really explain to you what Riverside is all about. Then I'll explain to you what Stax is all about. Okay. So what are the pros and cons of Riverside? So the pro, Riverside is a specialist in the restaurant and bar industry. Okay, with software solutions exclusively for the niche. Okay, so this is kind of cool. If you are in that space and you really would love to have more possibilities. Sorry about that. Think about Riverside. Okay, and also Riverside is a subsidiary of Wells Fargo. So again, I think I've said this before, but it adds an extra layer of security to the whole process. On the flip side, Riverside makes a lot of bold claims, okay, but there is no evidence to back any of them. So to back them up, so for instance, the company claims to be number one for restaurants and bars, but does but it doesn't clarify how that was determined, nor does the company clarify how it is actually the world's best merchant service provider. Okay, there is a total lack of transparency for anyone wanting to research and compare Riverside against other providers. Okay, so this makes it very hard to verify any of their claims, and so this is something to really understand that you have to do a little bit more research. Okay, so that's an important element to think about. Now there is ample evidence of complaints online. People talk about the pricing, so people talk about the dishonest pricing, misleading sales tactics. People talk about unethical behavior. Okay, and also some people talk about the fact that There is actually a 6.95 termination fee, okay, an early termination fee. So that's kind of huge, $695. But hey, it is what it is. So that's for Riverside payment. What about Stax? Let's quickly talk about Stax. So if you think about Stax, this is an Orlando-based merchant services provider that's actually best known for membership-based pricing. Okay, so that means what? It means that this provider eliminates markups on interchange rates. Okay, so Stacks is actually suited to established businesses with good sales volume that benefit from a set monthly fee. So you're just paying a subscription fee every single month, and that's it. There is no like you don't have, at least you have some clarity in terms of how much you have to pay, so that when you do your budget, you know. Okay. So one thing I want to say here is that basically, micro businesses and startups may prefer a provider with interchange plus pricing, so that there are no charges during periods where there are no sales. Right? If you go with Stacks, even if you have no sales, you're still paying anyway. Okay, that's actually a big detriment here. But if you have a high sales value, there are real savings to be had through subscription based pricing, because the cost is fixed. Okay, the cost is fixed, and that's a big that's a big help. What are the what are the features here when you think about Stacks features? You have in-store processing, online processing, and mobile processing too. So for in-store processing, Stacks facilitates in-store processing through its payment gateway. So if you need a POS system, Stacks has solutions available, and can connect with other credit card terminals, including EMV readers and mobile readers. Okay. What about online processing? Well, if you're an e-commerce business, you can connect with Stacks through almost all platforms, thanks to Stax's virtual terminal, along with its wide range of integrations and an open API. What about mobile processing? Well, the Stacks mobile app can connect with any Bluetooth mobile reader, so that as a merchant, you can accept payments whatever you need from credit cards and contactless payments methods, including Apple and Google Pay. So outside of this basic services, Stacks offers a host of other features that meet the needs of businesses from small to large, including invoicing. That's really good, invoicing, and industry specific services. So let me talk about integrations here. So if you think about Stacks versus Riverside payments, what type of integrations can you think about? So Stacks integrates with QuickBooks Online, Equity, Scheduling, GoDaddy, Wix, WooCommerce, JotForm, WooCommerce Plus, okay, BigCommerce, Magento, Shift4Shop, Salesforce, and more. So you do have a plurality of programs to which uh, Stacks. Sorry about that. Stacks integrates. Okay. So what about pricing? Let me talk to you about pricing here. So Stacks offers a month-to-month contract, allowing you as a merchant to cancel at any time with no termination fees, statement fees, PCI compliance fees, annual fees, batch fees, or monthly minimum fees. Okay. 24/7 technical support is available with all subscriptions. So depending on the size of the business, there are three subscription levels. You have Growth, $99 per month, the Pro, $159 per month, and the Ultimate, $199 per month. Okay, so something to really think about. So in addition to the monthly fee, there are the unavoidable bank and card provider fees. You have swapped and shipped transactions. So this is interchange plus 8 cents. You also have keyed transactions, interchange plus 15 cents. Okay, and you have online transactions, that's interchange plus 15 cents. So this really gives you an idea of how much you have to pay. And one thing I want to say here is that it depends on what you are looking for, what kind of service you want to have.
but at least you have that flexibility, at your fingertips. So that's really good. So what are the pros and cons here? So if you think about Stax versus Riverside payments, basically the pros of Stax, if you think about it, sorry, drink some water here. Sorry. So basically, so the pros, Stax membership pricing makes for consistency and transparency. Okay, no additional fees or contracts and no markups on interchange rates makes actually Stacks a particularly popular solution if you think about it. And this depends on all. It depends on the industry, but it's applicable to all industries, by the way. And all subscriptions come with a comprehensive list of features, including a centralized portal to access customer data. So what happens here is that with Stacks, you have you have a clear dashboard that delineates for you all the features, all the pricing, all the transactions, so you can see transaction by transaction what's really happening. Okay, and you can have inventory, invoicing, and more. Plus, the range of integrations makes Stacks adaptable to different business needs. On the flip side, if you think about Stacks, there is a monthly subscription. Okay, so this type of business model don't tend to suit small or micro businesses with a small monthly sales volume. That's what I said a little earlier. That you have to really have a critical mass when it comes to sales to actually enjoy Stacks. Okay. In terms of customer support, Stacks has 24/7 customer support through its website in the form of live chat with real people. So you can't really, you're not going to get somebody on the phone, but at least you have someone talking to you if you have a pressing problem. Okay, so this is something to really think about, and you have some kind of interaction, some kind of live interaction. Okay, if you need to. Okay, so which is really best for your business really here. So it really depends. Okay, depends on what you're looking for. If you want to have flexibility, go with Stacks. If you want to have affordability, affordability, it's better to go with Riverside, especially if your sales volume is not really high. It's not really high yet. Okay, so choosing the right payment processor is an important step for any business. So before making any decision, it's critical that you thoroughly read all paperwork to check for cancellations, monthly minimums, right? PCI compliance, batch fees, statement fees, and other costs. It's also a good idea to align your business with a processor that offers superb customer support and has products and services that can help you grow. Okay, so this is something that you have to think about. So whether if you compare and contrast Stacks and Riverside payments, I would say there is no clear winner. This is a tie. This is a tie. Every provider has its own specialty. In conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about Stacks versus Riverside payments. I spoke about Riverside payments, Stacks, and now the conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you later on. Enjoy and God bless.